already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Down with my own doubts. Be free with me. Be free. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out.
Thank goodness for wool socks. I wasn't going to film anything today, but I had some snowy footage from last week that I wanted to put into a video. So I've been editing that together a little bit. It's only a little bit. I mainly took it as home video. So I've just edited a few bits together for the beginning of this. And I thought I'd just film today. It's Tuesday, we're in the half term, so we've got no homeschool. So we're really enjoying a bit of a chance to relax and do some painting. I bought some peg dolls. Have we got the peg dolls? So I've got 20 of them for about £5 on Amazon. This is Bluebell Lilia's Tooth Fairy that Phoebe has painted. These are really good, so they've had a lot of fun. Lilia painted Fitz from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm just sitting here whilst Phoebe's painting, and I am cutting out thank you cards that I put in with my orders, and I've also been doing a little spot of knitting. In my sock bag here I have been working on my wildflower and honeycomb socks, so called because it has a little wildflower pattern running up the leg and the top of the foot. Obviously this hasn't been blocked, so it's a bit bumpy. And the heel is a kind of honeycomb texture, like that. So I've been working on those and enjoying them. And we're just having a bit of a lazy day, really. We had an incredibly lazy day yesterday. We just hung around at home. Dan's obviously still working, so we don't see him. He disappears up to the bedroom. It's just me and the girls at the moment. Yeah, struggling a bit. I think all of us, we're fed up with lockdown, fed up with not knowing what's going to happen. The house is a big mess because we're actually starting the process of doing our bedroom. And the first thing that we're doing with that is getting the room plastered, taking the wardrobes out and getting much better fitted wardrobes put in. So it means emptying some sort of 3 or 4 giant wardrobes full of all of the mess that has been in there for the last 6 years. So that's creating quite a bit of chaos. We're probably going to store some stuff in my mum's garage. Anyway, I wanted to film this today, just a little vlog to share with you this week, and I wanted to do a bookshelf tour as well. I was thinking that might be quite a fun and interesting thing to do. We've got bookshelves obviously all over the house, but the one I'm going to share today is the main one in the living room.
Oh my god.
Are you okay there, Phoebe?
I went to put my paint back in the pile of paints and I put it in the water pot.
Whoops, just put it on the side. It'll dry. yeah, so I'm going to try and film that over the course of the day. I'm sure with plenty of interruptions.
Yeah.
Evidence of the chaos here at the bottom of the stairs. This is a box of stuff that will actually be going into my mum's loft for a bit until everything's sorted here. But at the moment we're just finding places everywhere to put boxes until we can work out where to store them for the duration of the bedroom remodelling, for want of a better word. I found this bag in a pile of stuff in a wardrobe and I sewed it ages ago, and I put a little pig motif on it, and it's just got a nice little checked lining. Needs ironing. All I've got to do is sew up the lining, and then I think I'm going to send it to my sister. I think she's already got about 105 of these that I've made her, but it's got a pig on it and she used to collect pigs. So Jen, if you're watching, you're getting this bag. Okay, I haven't prepared these shelves at all, so what you see is how they usually are. And I'm just going to give you an overview here, and then we're going to go in close and I'm going to talk about all the books and the ornaments and things. So these are the living room alcove shelves, the smaller alcove, but the one with the most books. We've got two alcoves. This is a narrower one, which in the bedroom, which mirrors the layout upstairs, is causing us big problems with the new wardrobe because it's too narrow for a corner wardrobe. So they're having to be a bit clever. And then that's the wider alcove over there. This is an area I haven't sorted out yet. It's literally just stuff bunged on there. It does need sorting out. The shelves are all ready. I don't want any more shelves or anything. It's just how I want to style them and what I want to store. But we're not going to look at those ones today. So the ones we're looking at start down here. That's our log basket for the wood burner. That's Phoebe's guitar. And then I'll talk in detail about everything on these shelves in a minute. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shelves worth of books and things to tell you about. It'll probably take me all day on and off.
About to see the world in action. What we can be, having no distractions. Get away. This is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out.
Pancakes! Oh man, they're massive!
Good? Are you happy, Lilia? Let's start right at the top. So this is my beloved collection of Terry Pratchett books. Really, Terry Pratchett was the reason I got into reading quite young. I think my mum got me one of his books from the library when I was younger than Phoebe. And they're in order, but they're also standalone books. And I think she got me Mort, which is... No, she didn't. She got me Eric, this one. And I read it and I loved it. And I went back to the beginning, started with The Colour of Magic and worked my way through. And the only reason I started reading other books was I caught him up. And I read other books whilst I waited for new Terry Pratchett books to come out. Now, I stopped reading them when my love of just general books took over and I didn't have time and I was at university and I was studying. So I've still got some Terry Pratchett books I haven't read. And Dan's reread a lot of the Discworld novels, which I've never done, but I would like to. I'd like to revisit them because they were such a special place for me to visit in my head. That little star is a little star that Phoebe made when she was little. And these are old printers blocks, and I bought these at Spitalfields Antiques Market. I used to work in Whitechapel, which was only a walk away from Spitalfields Market. And they had a really good antiques market every week, and I picked those up one week. And then this framed card, Bow Chicka Wow Wow, it's kind of a in-joke with me and one of my best friends. She sent it to me. as a card one year. I think a cheer up card or a birthday card, and I just loved it, so I framed it, and it's been in there ever since. And then behind that, these are Dan's books. Percy Jackson books are Dan's, and The Hunger Games is Dan's. I've not read either of those. The Northern Lights ones are mine, but we've both read them. I loved the Northern Lights series. I think that my favourite one was the Amber Spyglass. If you can hear that funny noise, it's Dan upstairs blowing his nose. You can't do it quietly. Yeah, I absolutely love the Philip Pullman Dark Materials series, and I really liked the television series, or I'm enjoying the television series with Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yeah, so that's the top shelf. Dan and I are both Terry Pratchett fans. It's always lovely when you meet someone or work out that someone's a Terry Pratchett fan. I think there is a Terry Pratchett quote for every life occasion. Okay, next shelf down. This is kind of the orangey yellowy shelf and red. These candles my dad bought me, they're battery operated and they've got a remote, but they never work. I always put new batteries in them and then they seem to just run out even if they're not on. So I think they, oh, she says, switching them on and finding they work perfectly. But when they're on and the little light's going, it makes the little thing at the top flicker as well. I don't use them often, but they're really cute. I really like them. I probably use them more if the remote worked. But I think it drains the batteries when they're not. If you keep them on, but turn them off with the remote, it still drains the batteries. Shut up about the candles. What am I on about? This is our carbon monoxide alarm because, by the way, I've got Vistaprint written on my hand to remind me I've got to email them today. Because we've got a log burner, we need to have a carbon monoxide alarm. Okay, what we got here? Life of Pi, one of the best books I've ever read in my life. I must get Lilia to read it actually. Some more Philip Pullman, Once Upon a Time in the North, a couple of Jane Austens. I haven't actually read Northanger Abbey, but I've read Sense and Sensibility. Snow Falling on Cedars, another amazing book that I would love to reread again in the future. And then these ones here are Dan's books. I'll have to get him. Oh, Artemis Fowl is mine, but again we both read it. And Mary Shelley Frankenstein, that's mine as well. And that was one of the best books I've ever read in my life. Such a good book. You can see how well read that is. So these ones here, let me call Dan through. Dan, why have we got them?
They are, well, this series is about Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
And the other ones, they're all kind of medieval Templar Knight.
Ah, you like
kind
that
of
kind of thing,
adventure stories, yeah.
Okay, moving on over here. Actually, whilst you're here, you might as well tell me. I'll tell you about this in a minute. And this. About these ones, because these are some of yours as well, aren't they? The Wilbur Smith, Eldest, Attila.
This is part of the Aragon series of books, which I really like. And this is again another one of the sort of Templar Knights, medieval kind of adventure story ones.
What's the Wilbur Smith?
Wilbur Smith, that's based on, it's a series of books around a character from ancient Egypt. And I think there's 4 books in this series. So there's The Quest, River God, The Seventh Scroll, which is this one, and I believe there's one other one somewhere.
I've split them up because I've tried to order the books by colour.
Yes, because you're weird. A Warlock, there we go, in the blue section.
Thank you. And this vase that's in front of it, I made this at a ceramics course one weekend. I really like it. I did all the markings and the glazing myself, and I even built the vase myself as well, using, what do you call it, when you make sausages and build them up? I can't remember. And then some of these are my dad's old books, so Catcher in the Rye, The Odyssey, Catch-22, although that's not actually my dad's copy. For some reason we've got 2 copies of Catch-22. this one, which was Dan's, and this one, which is falling apart, which was my dad's. I've also got a lot of books here that belong to my mum because she studied English literature and sociology when she was at university in the 60s. So, for example, the selected poems by T.S. Eliot, that was hers. New poetry, just under Catch-22 there, that would have been hers. Yeah. But going on here, Jasper Fforde, Lost in a Good Book. Such a good idea for a book. I absolutely loved it. And because I think it was this one, this is one of a series. I don't think Lost in a Good Book is the first one. Let's have a look. No, it is, I think. Lost in a Good Book sets the premise for this sort of other alternative world where books are like rock and roll. And it was the one after this, I think it was called The Eyre Affair, which for some reason I don't have on my bookshelf because it was one of my most favourite books. Because I'd recently read Jane Eyre, which is a story I absolutely fell in love with. And reading The Eyre Affair afterwards was brilliant because I was able to kind of rejoin the characters, like spend time with Mr. Rochester again. Skipping Christmas by John Grisham, I read most years around Christmas. The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, that's a really good book. This is a fantastic book. I did this as part of a book club years ago. It is a collection of short stories. It's by Jhumpa Lahiri. It's called The Interpreter of Melodies. Oh, this was such a good collection of stories. Remember, every time I started one of the stories, I thought to myself, I hate this story because I missed the characters of the previous story. And then by the end of it, I'd be like, oh, I don't want this story to end. And I hate the characters in the next story because they're not the characters from this story. Such a brilliant book. I'll try and link as many of these underneath as I can. Number One Ladies Detective Agency, I'm sure you've heard of. That was really good. And Bel Canto is about a hostage situation. Had a real effect on me, that book, so I've always kept it, thinking I'd like to read it again one day. About Teddy Robinson. This was my favourite book when I was little. And my bear that I still have from childhood is called Bunny Robinson. It's a bunny. And it's named after Teddy Robinson from this book. Oh, this is a good one as well. I really loved this book. I've kept this because I would like to read it again one day, but also I read it and I didn't realise it was the second book in a series. It's a sort of focus on mother-daughter relationships and also looks at the history and sort of traditions of the Cherokee Indian people. It was a really, really good book. I would recommend that one. So this little lady here, when Lilia was in year 6, the final year of primary school, they all had to do an art display based on a chosen subject, and she chose Frida Kahlo. And as part of that art display, she made a 3D clay, this is air drying clay, Frida Kahlo head, and painted it. And I have always loved this. So expressive, so funny, you know exactly who it is. It's just, and you know, it's made by a 11-year-old, and I love her. I dust her every week and she makes me smile. And then up here, I had to move this a minute ago, but that's a little crocheted heart that I made. This rainbow, you can actually put a candle behind. It's glass and it reflects the light. My sister bought it for me after our dad died. We think it's actually the pride flag because it's 6 colours. I'm ashamed to say I don't know enough about it, but I'm pretty sure it is. And I absolutely love it, and it looks beautiful when there's a candle behind it. Then there's some older books here. One of my most favourite books of all time. Now, if you've watched any of my vlogs on my other channel before, you may have picked up that I'm a huge fan of Charles Dickens' stories. We live in Kent, and a lot of his stories were set here, especially around the Rochester area where he lived until he died. So these are all very well read. Great Expectations, The Old Curiosity Shop. That's another little ornament made by Phoebe or Lilia. Of course, we've got the full works of Robert Burns. If you can hear that funny noise, Lilia is now up and she's got the hiccups. She is also wearing, what are you wearing, Nadia?
The Harry Styles cover.
She's wearing the finished Harry Styles cardigan, which we'll show you properly in a minute. Yeah, so of course we've got the full collection of Robert Burns poetry, and you can see how well read that is. And Whistling for the Elephants, it used to be yellow, but that book, that dust cover has faded, by Sandy Toksvig. I can't remember anything about this story, and I can't remember if I've kept it because I really liked the book cover, or if I liked the story. I have to revisit that someday. Okay, let's put these candles back up. Maybe I'll put these on tonight. And go down to the next shelf. So, some of these are Dan's and some of them are mine. One of my favourite books of Charles Dickens is A Christmas Carol, and this particular version I spoke about during Vlogmas. My friend Gaynor bought it for me, and it's the story alongside prints of the written manuscripts. Hans Christian Andersen collection of stories I've had since I was very, very young. Absolutely used to terrify me. Terrifying stories. This is a rose quartz. No, it's not. What am I talking about? It's a salt thing. You burn candles in it and then, I don't know, it's supposed to do something. I know it looks pretty. Tale of Two Cities, one of my Charles Dickens ones. The Return of the Native I've never actually read. I'm not sure why I have that. Lydia's really got the hiccups. Moon Over Soho is one of Dan's ones, as is The American... No, The American Boy was my dad's. Again, I don't know anything about that one. This was a huge book in the 90s, Jemima J, and I loved it. I'll probably reread that again one day. I absolutely loved that book. All of Bill Bryson's books I absolutely love. Captain Crowley's Mandolin was another really big one. I think I read that the year we got married. This was an unexpectedly brilliant book. It is by Douglas Kennedy. He's a male writer. It's got a really silly cover and a really silly name. It looks like just a terrible airport book. But it's one of the best books I've ever read. It's about postnatal depression. I read it before I had children and before I had postnatal depression. But it was absolutely brilliant, that book. Of course, we've got The Hitchhiker's Guide. One of my favourite books of all time. Winnie the Pooh. Peter Pan, Oliver Twist. A Year in Provence I've read so many times. I love it. 2 copies of Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I think one was mine and one was my mum's. Darling Buds of May, absolutely fantastic series of books based here in Kent. The Little Prince, which I'm sure you all know. Another copy of A Christmas Carol there. This T.S. Eliot is again from my mum's university days. Swallows and Amazons was mine. The Wodehouse book was one my sister bought me, which didn't get on with to begin with, but really enjoyed in the end. The Summer Book by Tove Jansson is fantastic. If you haven't read it, Tove Jansson is the creator of The Moomins, and she's written other books as well, or I should say she wrote other books as well. And this was fantastic. Really, really good. Treasure Island, another one of Dan's, the Dean Koontz one. And the Douglas Adams and Robert Llewellyn books are all mine. Douglas Adams, this is Mostly Harmless, which is a book that followed up from The Hitchhiker's Guide. Robert Llewellyn is an actor who played Crichton in Red Dwarf, and I was a huge Red Dwarf fan. I loved it. And this book here is a trilogy. It is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and Robert Louis Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which Lilia's actually reading at the moment for GCSE English. And I loved all of those. They were fantastic. Oh, and Dan and I, when we first met, well, not when we first met, when we were very early on in our relationship, went to Greece one year, to Kefalonia, for a holiday, and I had this to help us along whilst we were there. I did not make this vase. This was made by Charlotte Hupfield Ceramics. I absolutely love her stuff. That's the kind of blue shelf. Right, moving down here to the next shelf. I've got a hammer bead thing that I made there, and I used to make these to sell. I don't anymore, but I've still got loads of them. These are my see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil pigs. They're so cute. That's one of my mum or dad's old cameras, and I've got another of their old cameras up here. This is a really cool old camera. I think this was my mum's. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I love old cameras and I like to have them out on display. This is a random little trinket box that I bought at Spitalfields Market, and this is a little ceramic rose brooch that I also bought at Spitalfields Market. I've just always really liked it. And that's another Charlotte Hutfield thing. It's got a red heart on one side and a blue heart on the other, so I can change it when I fancy it. It's been red for a long time, so let's leave that as blue. And then, oh, I can't remember the artist behind these. I've got a couple of her things. I'll put her name on the screen. She's on Etsy. Might say on the back, actually. There we go. Sascalia. And that's, it's the 5 Little Houses. Sascalia. I'll put a link to her shop underneath. I love her work, and that's like a little painted block. Let's move that for now. These are some needle felted gnomes I made, and I was really pleased with them because they have nostrils. Gnomes with nostrils. That's a little crochet covered stone I made. I like doing that, just free form crochet. This is a little air drying clay toadstool house that I made. This is me and Dan the summer before we got married. We took the old 1970s frame tent camping in Cornwall. I wear that t-shirt now as pyjamas. Okay, so here we've got sort of gift books, things about grammar and sayings and things about the English language, which I really like. The little cafe in Copenhagen is all based in Denmark. I have a little bit of an obsession with Denmark. Toujours Provence is the follow-up to A Year in Provence by Peter Mayle. And of course, Pride and Prejudice. Everybody has a copy of Pride and Prejudice, surely. King Solomon's Mines I read when we were on that holiday in Greece. I loved this book, loved it. And then these books here are all to do with my mum. Well, some of them are for my mum's sociology and English literature degree. This is quotes from Chairman Mao, that would have been sociology. And then we've got some older fiction ones here. This is a really, really old book. This is Robert Louis Stevenson. I can't even say that, looks like Latin. And it was a gift from, so there's a story behind this book. My granny used to be the tea lady at Aberdeen Royal Infirmary. She always made friends with everybody. My mum's the same now. And when my mum was off to university, there was a professor from the university in as a patient. And I'll flick through it whilst I'm talking. And of course, my granny got talking to him and said, oh, my daughter's off to university. She's going to study English literature. And the professor gifted this to my very young mum via her mum, my granny, as a gift before she went to university, because he was a professor at the university. Professor Knight. There you go. Book with a story. And I've had that ever since I cleared out at my childhood home. The Pickwick Papers by Charles Dickens. This book of verse was for my mum's literature degree. Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson. I'm suddenly now realising how many books by Robert Louis Stevenson I have. The Parahandy Tales is a story of, a collection of stories, I think. It was also a TV programme. It's set in the Western Isles of Scotland. It's about a fisherman. It's a comedy. It's very funny. Millie Molly Mandy stories I used to love. And then there's another sort of book about English grammar and stuff. Emma, Passage to India, Romeo and Juliet. These are all mine. Midsummer Night's Dream is my favourite one of Shakespeare's plays. Black Like Me is a really interesting book. I don't know if this is still required reading anywhere. This was required reading as part of my mum's sociology degree, and I read it when I was very young, probably younger than Lilia. And yeah, I don't know if it's a controversial book or not. I've never looked it up, but I found it very eye-opening at the time, and I was very young, and it wasn't really something that was discussed back in the sort of late 80s, early 90s. So I found it very eye-opening indeed, and I've always kept it as a reminder. Paradise Lost I've never read either. I think that might have been my dad's. The Chronicles of Narnia. A few Snoopy's books. The Little House in the Big Woods, Laura Ingalls Wilder. These are all other books for my mum's degree. And then again, we've got a bit of the English language stuff. So The Year of Living Danishly was such a good book. I loved that. I would highly recommend that book. It was one of the books I read when I was really planning on going to Denmark. Gathering Blue was a fantastic book, but I think it was actually one in a series, and I hadn't read any of the other books, but I loved it. And I'd like to read this again, but I'd like to get the other book that comes before it. I'm sure it was one of a series. I'm not sure. I'm sure somebody said to me that this was the second in a series, but I thought it was fantastic. Don't remember anything about it now. Just remember I really enjoyed it, and it was something to do with having to dye threads and do embroidery. Now We Are Six was a gift on my 6th birthday from my dad. And then in the corner there's just some more poetry books. They used to do this thing called Poems on the Underground, where they used to publish poems and put them up on the tubes. And I got the collection when it came out because I used to enjoy reading that when I was commuting. Put the gnomes back. Okay, moving down here. This is a random crocheted cat. I know what pattern this is because I've spoken about it before. It's called the Dumpling Kitty. I'll put a link below. I'm pretty sure it's a free pattern. I made this way too big and with the wrong size hook, but it's very squidgy and very funny, and the girls love it. This is kind of the girls' shelves now. This is, I always liked to have a bookshelf when the girls were much younger, where they could just come and pull off a book and read it and not have to reach high up or ask for books. Well, that's a lobster coaster. Isn't that good? That was a gift. Really like those. So this is all the Horton Here's a Who and all the Dr. Seuss books. Got the periodic table. We've got all the Charlie and Lola and the Lauren Childs books. These were always brilliant. These are still favourites even now. We'll sit sometimes and read them. I'm pretty sure Lilia would still read them given half the chance. Is that true, Lilia?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. And then these were mine when I was little, the all colour fairy tales. So these really bring back memories when I look at them, especially the illustrations. It's actually quite terrifying, isn't it? Fairy tales are quite terrifying, the traditional ones. But I remember I used to just love the pictures in this book, especially the Cinderella one. I'm pretty sure that this was all pretty traditional in the telling of the stories as well. I'm pretty sure heads were rolling and people were meeting sticky ends. Let's put it that way. Let's find the Cinderella one. Show you why I liked it. Oh look, there's Ursula. Aren't they fantastic illustrations? Here we go. Here's Cinderella. Look at her dress. Here they are, a ball. Really, really lovely illustrations. The girls get the Strictly Come Dancing annual every year, and we always enjoy looking through those together. We've got a few puzzle books here, a book about chess, We've got a Michael Rosen poetry book. Both the girls love Michael Rosen. Got a couple of dictionaries. This is Phoebe's collection of Shakespeare stories for children. They're really, really good. They don't, you know, they don't baby them. They just shorten them basically. So she's read every single one of those. It's fantastic. This is a very, I don't know why I've kept this. We bought this ages ago to help us identify trees, but honestly, all trees I've discovered just look the same. Very old copy of The Water Babies, my original Dr. Seuss books here, a couple of other pop-up books and jigsaw books and books about how to make slime. Our little collection of Russian dolls, which still get played with as like fiddle toys almost. And these, I've got a couple of these. One's upstairs in Phoebe's room. Do you remember the Usborne puzzle adventure books? You had to solve puzzles on each page before you could turn the page and move on in the story. Oh, I loved these. Loved them. And then down here, there's, as well as a bag with kindling in, although not much kindling at the moment. Let's move that. And a bag with fire lighters. Don't need that at the moment either. That can go in the garage. Not the garage, the shed. We don't have a garage. Got 2 boxes here that have got DVDs in. Baskets, not boxes. This is a basket with toys that we really need to sort out. And the girls pop their Kindles in there when they're not using them. Because I'm pretty sure there's toys in here that are just too young for them now. There's toys in this box as well. And then these are some bigger books like the Atlas and Where's Wally and stuff like that that don't fit on the other shelves. But not much interesting there. So there you go. There is my shelf tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoy a nose around other people's bookshelves. So I hope you enjoyed this nose around mine. Look at my hair. It's all curly because we went out for a walk earlier and we got caught in the rain. It was great before then. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that tour of the bookshelf. I've just finished editing it, so I know this is quite a long one. So I'm just going to say thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. And don't forget to press like if you enjoyed this video. And if you're new and you fancy coming back for more, make sure you press subscribe as well. And I've put as much information as I can underneath in the description box. But if I've missed anything, or if there's anything else you want to know, any questions or any suggestions for future videos, just leave me a comment underneath and I'll see you soon. Bye.